It's another excellent night over here at Crypto Cove. Hello, everyone. How are you doing tonight?
Very well, Hunter, very well.
Very good,
Excellent.
Hunter.
That's
Doing
excellent. Good to hear.
jolly for the holidays. We're doing jolly.
Indeed, indeed. Right, so this isn't regularly scheduled programming. Ace is on the road right now, so he unfortunately couldn't join us tonight. So, as we talked about on the co-founders meeting, he passed the responsibility of the Zooming on to me for this meeting and officially sanctioned the meeting. So, again, this is paid training for everyone. So, if you haven't put your wallet address in already, go ahead and do that. And with him gone, I'm second in command unofficially and officially of the Zoom meeting. So if Ace is gone, that means I'm in charge. Anyway, so tonight we're going to go over Ethereum basics. And if you watched my call going over Bitcoin and blockchain basics, this is going to build off of a lot of what we talked about during that call. I'll have a link in the description for where to find that call. Or, of course, you can just go and check the channel out because, of course, it'll be there right next to this call. All right, so with that in mind, we'll go ahead and start the screen share. All right, and you all can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yes.
All righty. We'll go ahead and start the presentation. If it'll work. All right, there we go. All right, so as I said before, welcome to Crypto Cove, everyone. And for anyone who doesn't know me, although I imagine that no one on this call at this point, but for anyone who doesn't know me, I've been a crypto enthusiast for about 14 years now, and I've been with pool funding for almost 2 years. And with that, we get to the point where I can seriously say that I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. Yep, and let me just say that it's been quite a wild ride here in crypto. It's tons of learning, tons of mistakes, tons of ups, tons of downs, the whole 9 yards. But don't worry, you won't need to get anywhere near as much experience as I have to understand what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're keeping everything casual and beginner friendly. All right, so we'll go ahead and move forward. So here's what we'll explore together tonight in a relaxed and beginner-friendly way. We'll start with where Ethereum actually is and why so many people consider it the foundation of the Web3 world. From there, we will step back and take a simple look at how blockchain technology works behind the scenes. After that, we'll get into one of the most important ideas in this space, smart contracts. These are programs that allow Ethereum to do much more than just send and receive currency. We will also talk about decentralized apps, also known as dApps, which are the tools and experiences built on top of these contracts. Next, we will look at how Ethereum stays secure through a system called proof of stake, which replicated the older mining approach, replaced, excuse me. Then we'll touch on sidechains such as BSC, which many communities, including ours, use daily because they offer lower fees and faster transactions. We will also walk through the basics of wallets and personal safety because understanding how to protect your funds is just as important as understanding how Ethereum works. Finally, we will cover the benefits and the risks associated with Ethereum as well as crypto in general, so you walk away with a balanced view of the space. But before we wrap up with any questions you may have at the end. My goal here is to make each part clear and approachable so you feel comfortable and confident wherever you are in your learning journey. All right, so what is Ethereum? Ethereum is a digital platform that works like a global computer. Instead of one company owning the system, thousands of people around the world help run it. This allows developers to create programs called smart contracts that run automatically without a middleman. The currency of this network is called Ether, also known as Ethereum. People use Ether to pay for actions on Ethereum, so the system stays orderly and fair, much the same as we use BNB coin on the Binance Smart Chain. Ethereum is open for anyone to build on, which is why it became the base layer for much of Web3 apps or for finance, gaming, etc. Identity and much more rely on Ethereum as well because it gives them a way to run securely and transparently without depending on any central authority whatsoever. Sounds pretty powerful so far, right?
Right.
And everything we do with Binance Smart Chain and everything we do with Poolflame for that matter was all built around this to beginning. So Ethereum was essentially what started all, and that's what sidechains like Binance Smart Chain were built off of. So without Ethereum, we probably wouldn't be here talking right now. All right, so here's why Ethereum matters. Now, Ethereum matters because it introduced something the early crypto world just did not have: programmable money. Instead of only sending and receiving value, Ethereum lets people create agreements that carry themselves out automatically. These programs allow developers to build decentralized applications that do not rely on one company or institution to stay online. If the network is running, the application is running. Simple as that. This opened the door for entirely new areas. DeFi, or decentralized finance, lets people borrow, lend, and trade without banks. We saw one example of that on one of the calls Zero Nights, where we took a very brief look at Aave. And also the pool micro-lending platform that we use is another great example of this. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, allow digital items to have real ownership. Games based off of Ethereum also give players control over the items they earn. Identity projects help people own their online presence instead of signing it over to a big platform. Imagine your identity on a blockchain rather than with some big company that you have to trust won't do anything nefarious with it. That's definitely sounds a bit better when you all say. All this supports a more open version of the internet, where users and builders have real control. Ethereum gives anyone with an idea the ability to create without needing permission from a central gatekeeper. The story of Ethereum begins in 2014, when a young developer proposed the idea of a blockchain that could do much more than just move currency. He imagined a system that could run programs on chain, giving people a way to automate agreements and build powerful applications. In 2015, the network officially launched. This was the moment smart contracts became real rather than just theoretical. Developers around the world began experimenting and creating early projects. As the years passed, the ecosystem grew, and by 2020, decentralized finance started taking off. People were lending, borrowing, trading, and earning interest without banks or brokers being involved at all. Then came the merge in 2022. This event replaced Ethereum's old mining system with proof of stake, which makes the network far more efficient and environmentally friendly to boot. Today, Ethereum serves as the backbone for thousands of applications across finance, gaming, art, and identity. It has evolved from an idea into one of the most important pieces of infrastructure in the Web3 world. All right, so we keep going over smart contracts. So, of course, I imagine a bunch of you are probably wondering just what those are, particularly since we've gotten to the point where we use quite a few of them in pool funding. Now, a smart contract is simply a program that lives on the blockchain and runs exactly the way it was written. Once someone deploys a smart contract onto Ethereum, it cannot be altered. This makes it dependable because no one can quietly change the rules later on. These contracts activate on their own when certain conditions are met. You can think of them like a digital vending machine. You put in a coin, press a button, and you get exactly what the machine is programmed to deliver. No human needs to stand there watching over it. Sounds pretty neat, huh?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Smart contracts remove the need for middlemen. They let people trade, borrow, lend, create art, play games, and interact with applications without relying on the company to approve the action. Many of the things people associate with Web3, such as DeFi platforms, NFT marketplaces such as OpenSea, and blockchain-based games all exist because of these contracts. They are the building blocks of the Ethereum ecosystem. So, of course, some of you may be wondering how Ethereum works and what makes it so special versus something like, say, Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum works through a large global network of validators. These are people who lock up some of their Ether as a way to show commitment to keeping the network honest. Validators confirm transactions and add new blocks to the chain, which keeps everything moving smoothly. Ethereum now uses a system called proof of stake. Instead of burning energy to mine coins like older blockchains like Bitcoin, validators are chosen to create new blocks based off of how much Ether they have staked. This makes the network far more efficient while still keeping it secure. Whenever someone interacts with Ethereum, they use Ether to pay a small fee called gas. Gas makes sure that the network stays fair and orderly. It prevents spam, encourages responsible use, and helps prioritize transactions when many people are using the system at once. Thanks to this shared infrastructure, anyone can send value, use applications, or deploy new smart contracts. Everything runs on a common foundation that no single entity controls. Ethereum supports a wide range of real-world use cases, and one of the biggest areas is decentralized finance, often called DeFi. These are financial tools that let people lend, borrow, earn interest, or swap tokens without banks or brokers. Everything runs through smart contracts, which means anyone can participate. A question: how many of you have used PancakeSwap at any points during your time with pool funding or with any other program for that matter?
You taught
I
us
have.
how to use
I have.
Pancake Swap.
Yes.
Indeed. So you were part of DeFi and you didn't even know it. You interacted with DeFi and you didn't even know it. How does that sound, everyone?
Effortless.
Sounds good.
Yep, and it's also the same for if you've ever interacted with pool microlending. That's DeFi as well.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, everything runs through smart contracts, which means anyone can participate. When you swap tokens on PancakeSwap, You sign a smart contract transaction to allow that swap to take place. When you create a loan offer in pool microlending or take out a loan, you're signing a smart contract to allow that action to take place. Another major use case is NFTs, which give digital items real ownership. Artists can sell their work, gamers can own in-game items, and collectors can hold scarce digital goods. The idea is simple. If you own the token, you own the item. And the token itself is indeed proof of ownership, so that makes figuring out who owns what a lot simpler and easier to find on the blockchain. That sounds like a pretty nice use case, wouldn't you all say?
Yes.
And indeed, there are actually some companies and jurisdictions that are looking into using NFTs and other media to track something on the blockchain, as well as to ensure that that's cryptographically secure. I know that a couple of DMV offices are talking about this, and there's actually been a couple experiments with people using this for real estate ownership. Although, as far as I know, that hasn't been given a regulatory framework anywhere as of yet. But that's just a good way to show where things are heading. Games built on Ethereum and similar networks let players truly control what they earn. Instead of items living only inside the company's database, they belong to the player directly. Identity is another growing area. People can create online identities they control themselves rather than depending on big platforms. This can support reputation systems, logins, and community memberships. Many communities, like ours, use sidechains such as BSC or Binance Smart Chain. These offer lower fees and faster transactions while still connecting back to the broader Web3 world. All these examples show how Ethereum goes far beyond currency. It is the foundation for applications and experiences that are open, transparent, and user-controlled. Of course, just like with everything in life, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. As far as the other side of the coin goes, while Ethereum offers many strengths, we all know that everything has weaknesses associated with it. And indeed, there are risks to be aware of. The first is gas fees. And this is something that some of you may have experienced yourself if you have done a business with the Ethereum blockchain. When a lot of people are using the network at once, fees can rise, which makes simple actions much more expensive. And in fact, it got to the point in Ethereum at one point where the gas fee costs upwards of $200. Quite expensive, when you all say?
Yes.
And this is one reason sidechains and scaling tools have become popular. So this is one reason why Binance Smart Chain became popular, as well as the Polygon mainnets, as well as a whole host of other chains. Another risk comes from smart contracts. Once a contract is deployed, it cannot be changed. But of course, this is a double-edged sword. If the code has a mistake, a bug, or a glitch in it, that mistake becomes permanent. Bugs or loopholes can sometimes lead to lost funds, which is why good audits and reviews matter. And we've actually seen a couple cases of that, one of which being with the internal exchange that had to be taken offline. Do you all recall that? All right, moving on. Regulations are still taking shape around the world. Governments view crypto in different ways, and rules may continue to shift as the space grows. Ethereum, like anything in crypto, also places responsibility on the user. If someone loses their private key or shares it by accident, they can lose access to their funds with no way to recover them. Keeping your keys safe is one of the most important habits in crypto, and this goes double for your seed recovery phrase or recovery seed. Now, that's probably one of the most important points you can take away from this meeting, if you ask me. If I lose my recovery phrase or if I lose my private key, I can't go over to the CEO of Ethereum and ask for it back. Partly because they would probably say something like, wait, who are you? How do you get in here? Security, don't validate his parking. And partly because there is no CEO of Ethereum. There are also scams and unsafe projects because anyone can deploy smart contracts. Some acts are not trustworthy. Learning how to spot red flags is essential. Finally, the price of Ether can move up and down quickly, as with any crypto. These price swings can be exciting for some and stressful for others. Knowing these risks helps you use Ethereum wisely and with confidence. To use Ethereum, you need a wallet. A wallet is not a physical item, but a digital tool that lets you send, receive, and store crypto. When you make a wallet, it generates two important pieces of information. The first is your public key, which creates your address. This is the part that you can safely share with others so they can send you funds. Think of it like your email address, for instance. The second is your private key. This is the secret part that proves that you own the funds in your wallet. You should never share it with anyone. It is similar to, say, the key to your house, or if you want to go back to your analogy, it's the password to your email account. Anyone who has it can walk right into your house. Anyone who has the password can go right into your email. That doesn't sound good now, does it? So definitely don't share that. In the Web3 world, your wallet can also act as your identity. It's how you sign into apps, prove ownership of your assets, and interact with smart contracts. Keeping it safe is one of the most important parts of being in crypto. The future of Ethereum is shaped by constant improvement. Developers are always working on upgrades that make the network faster, smoother, and more affordable to use. These upgrades happen gradually so the ecosystem stays stable while it grows. One major trend is the use of rollups and other scaling tools. Now, these are solutions that run transactions off of the main chain, so off of the Ethereum network, and eventually settle the results back on Ethereum. So if you're looking for a real world example for that, take for example that you go to a bar, but of course, when you are ordering drinks one after the other, you don't want to have to slap down your debit card or credit card every time you want to order a drink, right? So that's why you open up a tab, excuse me. So that essentially is an act of opening up a roll-up on the platform. And when the night's done, or when you're done drinking and you decide to tab out, that's when your card is charged. And if we take that analogy over to the blockchain, that's when the roll-up settles your transactions over on Ethereum. Make sense?
Yep.
This approach reduces congestion and lowers costs, which makes apps feel more accessible to the end user. As the technology becomes easier to use, the apps built on top of Ethereum are becoming more and more user-friendly. Many projects now focus on simple interfaces and clear experiences so newcomers can join in without feeling overwhelmed. You will also see more activity in areas like digital identity, decentralized finance, and social apps. These fields are all growing quickly because people want more control over their online lives. All of this pushes Ethereum even further into its role as a central piece of Web3 infrastructure. It does not replace sidechains and neural networks. Instead, they all grow together and form a larger, interconnected ecosystem. The future is bright and full of potential as the technology matures and becomes more accessible for everyday people. All right, so we covered a lot in a relatively short time today. So let's recap. We started with what Ethereum is and why it matters in the world of digital ownership and decentralized applications. Then we looked at how the blockchain works behind the scenes and how the shared ledger makes everything possible. We explored smart contracts and the role that they play in running applications automatically. We also talked about the shifts to proof of stake, which keeps the system secure while reducing the energy needed to operate. From there, we've looked to side chains such as BSC and the many real-world use cases built on Ethereum, including finance, gaming, art, and identity. We also reviewed the benefits and the risks so you can make informed decisions and understand both sides of the technology. At this point, you should have a clear starting point for navigating the Ethereum and Web3 world with confidence. You do not need to know everything all at once. You only need a solid foundation, and that is exactly what you built today. So with that, my presentation is finished. I'll go ahead and stop the share. And with that, we moved over into the question and answer period. Let me go ahead and check the chat and make sure there's nothing here I need to attend to. All right, so with that, let's go ahead with any questions. It can be about anything regarding the presentation, anything regarding pool funding, or anything regarding crypto in general. Open season, basically. Who would like to go first? No one? Did I do my job too well again?
I have a question, Hunter.
Okay,
How are you?
doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I kind of understand, but very hard to explain to people. Okay, January 15th, we are going to transfer old coin to new coins, and then the new coin is set starting at 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, $4 million, right? And then, people ask how come, like, for example, PFS, now one coin is 587 or something like that. How come that money can be like $2 million all of a sudden? I mean, we believe it because we trust Ace, but can you explain more on that? It's like it's not matter of growth, the value of the money, all of a sudden, like boom, like that. He is privileging us to, transfer the money to that level, but it's hard for us to understand. Okay, if money is programmed to set starting there and then keep on growing, can you explain that? And then it's
Well,
like too high, it's too big of the difference. So
what you have to remember is that we're going to discontinue use of our legacy tokens for most things, and of course, on the 15th, we're going to launch our new tokens.
yeah.
And part of what the smart contract to lock up the tokens does is it entitles you to an equal amount of the new token, provided that you follow the rules. So if you have one PFB, you'll also get one PFC after the lockup period is over. Or I shouldn't say also, you'll lose the PFB, but anyway, as we've noted, PFC or whatever it's called ultimately is going to be valued at $1 million. Now that's going to be the case because Ace is going to push the price up before we officially launch them in the community. because he'll be in control of all the tokens to start out with, and he'll
Yeah.
have quite a bit of USDT in order to manipulate the price.
Yeah, I mean the reason that I asked because today I tried to explain, to my friend that okay, this money value is now very low, but January 15th, this will be this much. And then she was laughing at me. And then I couldn't explain. It's unbelievable number, as I see the holding amount. Yeah, so it's like programmed. So it's just another coin start is programmed to start. And then as long as people don't sell, the money is to stay there, right?
Right.
And
And
also another question is to support that value, that high value of the money, the liquidity is required. Ace has to put some liquidity, some like actual money to support that in the account or something? I don't understand. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up.
right, there's going to be some USDT and say PFC in the liquidity pool for PFC, but we're going to keep the liquidity low in order to make sure that our coins remain toxic to any traders, sellers, or anything of the sort.
Oh,
Because
I see.
you have to remember that no one's going to have them at all when we first start out unless they buy them on PancakeSwap in the market. And when the 9-day period comes up, people aren't going to have much of a real token to try and hurt us with because they don't have much token at all. So if we take PFC, for example, your first distribution of PFC is going to be at 0.00001 PFC. Now, that's not going to be a lot for you to be able to do anything with.
Yeah.
If you want to sell it. So that's going to be one thing. So that's not going to help hurt us much, if at all. And also, since we're going to keep the liquidity low for those pools on purpose, any attempts to sell any, particularly a large amount, is just going to end up with people kneecapping themselves if they try to do that. So if you try and sell that $10 of PFC that you get on your first day's distribution, you'll probably get, say, like $3 or $4 worth rather than 10. That's obviously not a good value at all, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I see. Gotcha.
All right.
Thank you.
And
It was clearer.
no problem.
Thank you.
All right, let me go and set the chat. Michelle asks, okay, I have a question. I accidentally deleted my seed phrase overnight. Oof. I got a new phone set up and I was trying to set up one of my wallets. Somehow they were deleted. I have a new iPhone. I have a message section where I put all this information. Sorry, notes section.
One more comment that I would like to say that means, nowadays the price is really low. That doesn't mean anything to us. Actually, that really creates so much opportunity for us to buy because we are,
Exactly.
yeah, because that, how much, price, it doesn't mean anything. We buy more in this situation that we position ourselves to be, big winner, right? That's how right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I want to get that to that in a moment. But Michelle, hopefully you still have your old device and you can still log into your MetaMask wallet in your old device, because that would be the only way that you can recover your recovery phrase at that point. And one of my guides covers how to do that. So that's covered, I believe, in the Common Problems Guide. So go ahead and read that section and retrieve your recovery phrase from your old device. Thankfully, you still have that, because if you didn't, then, well, you would pretty much be up a creek, basically. You'd be SOL. And that's why making know of your seed phrase is so important, because I often talk about that. That is essentially a gold brick, basically. Treat it as such. And if you take one thing away from any of the calls I do ever, let it be that. All right, so does does anyone else have any other questions? Gregory, you have your hand up.
Hi, Hunter. So excuse me, I'm finishing up my dinner. So here's a question, and you may not know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And I think this is a question that all of us are wondering. New coins will be launched January 15th. A year from then, are we going to be able to sell any of the coins or only borrow against them?
So that hasn't been the framework for that hasn't been fully put together yet, but ideally you want to borrow against them. Selling should be the last resort for any of your tokens, because that's selling only allows you to get value from them once. Borrowing against them allows you to get value from them multiple times on end.
And could you, I know Joe touched on this yesterday, but could you explain how the borrowing will work? Borrowing against it will work.
So borrowing against it, of course, we'll be working with a separate platform. It could be Aave, it could be someone else. So I don't want to speculate too much about how the process will actually work. But to give you an idea, it will be somewhat similar to how it works over in pool microlending. We'll either put up the tokens as collateral, sending them to a wallet if we want to put them up as collateral, or send the entire lot over to a wallet on the lending platform of choice that we control, and then use that to send our collateral to another wallet from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Hunter.
I know that's probably not a very satisfactory answer, but of course I'm trying to be general here, because of course there's quite a bit that still hasn't been done yet as far as that goes.
Totally understand.
All right, any further questions, anyone? All right, no questions. Does anyone have any comments about anything?
What would we do without you?
All right. Excuse me. Well, there's not really a lot I can say to that other than I'm glad to be here for you are. Well, for you are. I'm happy to be here.
We really appreciate you, Hunter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nicholas says I can be backup. You probably will have to be at some point, but we'll see how it goes. I'll probably go on vacation at some point, and we'll see how that we'll see how that goes. Excuse me. All right. So, does anyone have any other questions, comments, anything of that nature? Alrighty, so I'll go ahead and stop the recording. But before I do, for you guys watching this on YouTube, YouTube tells me that a majority of my views come from folks who haven't subscribed at all. So it would be really helpful if you could subscribe to the channel because number one, that helps more Pool Flame members find my channel and learn more about what I have to offer here as far as education goes. And if you liked the video, you can go ahead and hit that button. If you disliked it, well, I guess you can hit that button. And of course, comments if you have something to say. There, I'll make the algorithm happy.
Okay.
Alrighty, so with that, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.